Yeah. What's good, ladies and gentlemen? How we doing this evening? Welcome to Ralph Reed's Raw. And as you can see, this is the place to be. The United Ronin Networks. Alright then. Now, for the continuation of Donald Goines' White Man's Justice, Black Man's Grief by Donald Goines. Now, the way we normally do things here on Ralph Reed's Raw, you already know, I am basically reading to record stuff to put on my computer to later edit to create a stylized version of what I'm reading tonight. It'll take a while before it's done, admittedly, because, editing, or should I say creating, takes a damn long time. So, alrighty. With all of those things being said right now, let us tune in to what the executive producers are holding down the fort. Heaven Keep, Glenda Harper, Nia, C-Madge, Clarence Hale, I've Been a Healer, S. Salahuddin, Just Being Kiki, Nana James, Tamika Lucy, Cedric Cartier, Alasia Ross, Eric Wright, Say K, Danielle Cunningham, Galloway, pardon me, K-Town, B-Dab, J. Bobo, Nardowick, Maya Jackson, Scooby, Anika Evans, Rashidi Smith, Lanesha Cornish, Supreme Goddess Nikki, Marvin Kuntz, Chris Johnson, Stephen Wade, K. Mary Bali, K. Marie Billingsley, Queen Maria da Silva, T Money, 704 Liquor House Talks, Papa Perk, Anaya Drake, Sherelle 5150, Damian Irvin, Sweet D, Cynthia, Lost Roads, Keith Woods, Seas All the Time, Trey Noel, Tweedy, Tequila Green, Mr. Light, Goose Jack, Deswan Manuel, the Fourth, Lady Rain, Pretty Ricky, Desmond Thomas, Dario Carrington, Marcus Valentine, Kyler Isla, and the Mighty Isla Family, BLE 007, Michael Woodford, Pat Master OST, Anthony Leach, Calm Tama, Mr. Fulltime, Brian Latham, Mr. T, and finally Logic and Friends, the Ranters Union. Hey, Aiden French, salute. Mandy Clips, hello. Some random dude says, hey, my favorite person, says Lady Rain 808. Well, hello to you, Miss Lady, Miss Fine You. Now, please excuse the sounds you might hear in the background, cause I live next to a damn bus depot, and it's just I'm gonna have to go with this flow right now, and hopefully I could remove these elements so when I do the editing later on, so y'all could hear it. Listen to that. Why? Trapaholics, we make it look easy. Can we get a Trapaholics? We make it look easy? Well, Trapaholics, we make it look easy. Because Lord knows I stay on the grind with it. So yeah, I'm trapping. But I ain't whack, man. Alright then, let's see here. Get out of here. Whoa. Audio setup, recorded device. Okay, everything's honky dory. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. There we go. All right. Without further ado, for me or for you, EA Sports is in the game. Let the reading commence. Hey, I hope I'm getting some subscriptions out the deal. let's go. Background noise be damned. Arby, we have the meat. Yeah, those could easily be my voices, but let's go with the show. Thank you, Aiden French. You're appreciated, friend. Chapter 10. The men began the new day by sweeping. They didn't have a broom, so they used magazines. They didn't have a broom, so they used magazines and a piece of cardboard to sweep the cigarette butts and other debris into a pile. Do I know Violet Mayers? No, I don't think so. What book? Harvard Penn Nass? This is White Man's Justice, Black Man's Grief. One of the old bums went through the pile of rubbish slowly, searching for discarded cigarette butts. God damn it! Another inmate cursed. How fucking long you gonna stay on that shitter? Somebody else might want to take a shit too. The man using the toilet ignored the outburst. He continued to take his time, reading an old newspaper spread across his lap. He sat there as if he sat there. Oh, live feed, salute to you with Ibrahim Traore. Salute to Ibrahim. We all know, if you know, you know. The man using the toilet ignored the outburst. He continued to take his time, reading an old newspaper across his lap. He sat there as if he were at home. He farted loudly and looked up grinning. Hit that like, chat, subscribe, let's go. The few men still eating their breakfast scowled and looked away. Why don't you put some water with that shit? Willie yelled from his bunk. He turned his back on the man, but in a moment, the sound of the toilet being flushed could be heard. You might think I'm playing, but I'm dead serious, my man. I gotta use that toilet. So you better get your head out of that fucking paper and get up off of that shitter, the man who had spoken earlier said. He stood over the man on the toilet. Damn it. 1 second. He stood over the man on the toilet, his fists clenched. Chester lit his morning cigarette and watched the two black men. It could turn into something nasty if one of them didn't give in. The man on the toilet decided that he wasn't in the best of positions for a fight, so he began to make preparations to get up. Okay, baby, I'm just about finished, he said as he searched for some toilet paper. Royce Madison. You know Royce Madison? Salute to random stuff, but Royce Madison, you are out of here. JD says, James Earl Jones, what up, brother? Can I say a joke? Lameda says, you're going to have to wait a minute after I finish, but I'll definitely honor your wishes in a while. You might think I'm playing them this. Okay. Here, brother, the other man said as he held out some toilet paper. Each man tried to keep his own roll of toilet paper, or he'd end up not having any. As soon as the rolls were put in, the men grabbed them up. The sound of the turnkey opening the door started the men to yelling, "Hey, turnkey! How about putting the mop bucket in here? We ain't been able to clean up in a week." "Okay, okay," the guard said as he came back down the catwalk. "I'll try and get the mop and bucket to you guys a little later. Just hold on." He continued on down the rock. At the last ward, he started to call out names. When he got back up to the when he got back up, "Well, thank you. Wow. FYI stubborn. Thank you for that donation right there. You are appreciated." Amen to that. Yes, sir. No doubt, man. Any little bit helps. Okay. When he got back up to Chester's ward, he called out the names of the men due. He called out the names of the men due in court that morning. Willie grinned and got up. Willie grinned and got up off his bunk. "Well, Chester, today's the big day. At least it will be all over for me anyway," he said lightly. He was happy. It was a pleasure to finally go to court for sentence. At least one knew that his stay in the county jail was about over. It made a difference that some of them. It made a difference that some of the men. It made a difference that some of them would be going to prison, but they preferred prison to the filthiness of the county jail. Tony, dressed and ready, sat down on Chester's bunk. He held out his candy bars. "FYI stubborn. Good, even though it's small, you showed appreciation." "I do. Thank you kindly." The men sat around eating candy bars and kicking the bullshit back and forth until it was time for them to go to court. "Cursed game, salute to you." David walked over and sat down on the edge of Chester's bunk. "I wish it was me going to court," he said. "I don't know why," Willie said as he combed his hair again. They're gonna give you so much time for raping that poor old little white girl that you ain't gonna be able to handle it." He grinned at the fear that flashed across David's face. "Yes, sir," he continued. "You boys just busted that white girl's little pussy wide open, so it's gonna go awful bad on you out there." For a brief moment, Chester felt sorry for David. He had heard the boy's story, even though he didn't really believe it. It was hard to believe that he hadn't done anything but was still charged with rape. The sight of the man's beaten face was enough to bring pity out of a person. This was the first time, though, that he had ever felt sorry for a man in jail for rape. Ugh, damn it. Where is it? Uh-huh. Oh, damn. 1 second. Oh, boy. The Book of Diddy. Now, no. Did Joe Chap fake? Well, I don't know what's fake about this. Alrighty. David stuck to his story, and he told it so pitifully. He almost made the hard-hearted men inside the ward, believe him. The hard-headed men inside the ward believe him. What really gave truth to the story was the fact. What really gave truth to the story was the fact that the man really claimed he didn't know what had happened that night, except what the police had told him. But what he did know was that he had been dead drunk. This he stuck to. If he had had relations with a woman, he would have known it. But he had been far too drunk. Did I ever drop the soap during my prison time? Well, if I ever did, I made sure I was well by myself. Okay? I didn't even play that. When it came to prison and me showering, I made sure I was the only one in there. You mother... Right. Now, is prison where I learned to read? No, prison is where I discovered Donald Goines. I learned to read through Sesame Street. Learn a thing. Did you ever be anyone's girl? Hell no. But you're about to be, because you are out of here. Peace. Do not play on my chat, y'all. I don't play these games. I don't play that. Please. All right? Be easy. Okay? Okay. Up out of here. You gone, Goofy. Peace. Yes, sir. Get out of here, you cervix. Now, Cryvix, what's up? Salute to you. What's this channel about? Well, this is me just reading favorites, classics. This is what happens here on the United Ronin Networks. So please join or subscribe so you can listen to Donald Goines or Sister Soldier only in the way you never heard before. Can Nurmaz, salute to you. Thank you. Nice voice. Axel SRS. Wolf Wolf. Okay. Salute to you. The sound of the guard coming back caused the men to start milling around the floor. Well, Tony began. You better order that carton of smokes for me, Chester, 'cause I'll be back to smoke them shortly. He grinned and started towards the door as the turnkey unlocked it. Willie got up and followed him. In a minute, baby, he said as he straightened his shoulders and began to cat towards the door. He stopped when he reached the open door and gave the clenched fist salute, grinned and catted on down the catwalk. Chester waited patiently for David to go back to his own bunk. Then he stretched out and closed his eyes. He had gotten a little sleep, only cat naps, so he closed his eyes. In a minute, he was snoring. He was a boy again, walking through the cotton fields of Georgia. He carried the small pack in his arms, clutching it tightly. A farmer's wife had given him the food when he had passed through after he had cut some wood for her. Now he was making his way down the railroad tracks, eating a piece of the homemade bread she had given him. The sound of the train coming put fear in his young heart, but he had made up his mind to jump a train so that he could get out of the South. As the train lumbered by, he tossed his package in through an open door, then managed to jump up and pull himself into the boxcar. He had been lucky. The way he had boarded the boxcar showed his inexperience, but some men were not that lucky. For the mistake he had made, he could have fallen beneath the wheels. Suddenly, he noticed that the car was not empty. An old black hobo had already made himself at home. As Chester straightened up, he noticed that the man had his package in his hand and was opening. Wait. As Chester straightened up, he noticed that the man had his package in his hands and was opening it. Go ahead, my man. Make yourself welcome, Chester said lightly. He didn't really want to share the food, but since the man had already taken it, he decided to make the best of it. Bro, signing up for an anime voice. Yes, anti-spiral. Please tell somebody. Bro, sign up for an anime voiceover. Your voice is so majestic. You are appreciated, my man. Thank you. The hobo grinned and took the last sandwich out of the pack and began to eat it. He didn't bother to offer any to Chester, so Chester turned his back and ignored the man. At first, he wanted to jump back off, but his fear of the southern sheriffs was greater than the fear he held for the old hobo. He felt his pocket, making sure he still had his switchblade. Batman? Yeah, I be getting that a lot. Peace to Kevin Conroy. But yeah, I get that a lot. After a while, the bumping and rocking of the boxcar made him sleepy. He curled up in the corner of the boxcar and quickly fell asleep. Sometime later in the evening, he felt something touching him in a manner that wasn't right. He jumped awake, only to find himself firmly held from the rear by the strong arms of the hobo. Don't carry on so, boy. I ain't gonna hurt you, the hobo said. The man fumbled with the front of his pants, trying to get his pants down around his knees. The strong odor coming from the man's breath filled Chester's nostrils, and he began to struggle silently. Suddenly, the hobo clubbed him on the back of the head with his fist. The blow only added strength to Chester's struggle. Chester had been raised on a farm, so his muscles were firm from the hard work. Pardon me, folks. At times, he had pulled the plow whenever the mule was too sick to work, which was often because the mule was very old. So whenever that happened, Chester was put in the mule's harness along with one of the other young boys who ran around the white man's property. Ah, damn it. All right, I'm gonna have to fix it this way. Dad, can we read? No, get out of here. Go. Get out of here. You know, I don't know. Lately, I've been running into these types, but it's okay. Get them all away. Chester was put in the mule's harness along with one of the other young boys who ran around the white man's property. Jackson Rose, salute to you. As the hobo tried to hold him with one hand, Chester grabbed the man's fingers and bent one of them back until he heard a pop. Am I a slave owner? No. All right, you gotta go too, cause come on, I can't take the stupidness, man. I can't take the stupidness, y'all, for real. The man let out a scream and rolled away, but it was too late now. Chester was fully angered. He came up on one knee like a cat. The first thing he noticed was the hobo's pants open and his penis hanging out. The sight and the knowledge of what the man had attempted to do to him filled him with a blinding rage. He snatched the switchblade from his pocket and flicked it open. The hobo started to beg. but it was too late. Dude, you should be a voice actor. I swear, like, for a game or something. Thank you. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Thank you, Ace. Voice actor for sure. Salute to y'all, man. Thank y'all for your kind words. And let's keep this moving. He snatched the switchblade from his pocket and flicked it open. The hobo started to beg, but it was too late. The young man moved with the speed of light. His hands were a blur as he thrust the blade into the hobo. The hobo grunted, and Chester struck again, and again, and again. The knife was as bloody as a butcher's working knife as the man slumped to the floor of the boxcar. Chester leaned against the wall, not from loss of breath, for he was not even winded. It had been a light workout for him. He could remember many times when he had tussled with his cousin, and ended up more tired physically than he was now. It was the finality of his act that completely drained him now. He was too aware of what he had done. No matter that, he had acted in self-defense. One of the county sheriffs would throw him in a lockup, and it would be anybody's guess. When he would ever get off the county chain gang. He staggered over to the open door and stared out. It was just beginning to get dark. He leaned against the door jamb until it was so dark out that it was hard to see one's hand in front of one's face. He leaned against the door jamb until it was so dark out that it was hard to see one's hand in front of one's face. I am reading White Man's Justice, Black Man's Grief, and no, I'm not talking about Diddy, Megatron, or Optimus Prime. Well, I could do a mean Optimus Prime. Transformers! Transform! No, Autobots, transform. That's how it goes. Alrighty. He dragged the body over to the door, but before he pushed it out, he slowly went through the dead man's pockets. It didn't disturb him about robbing the dead. He didn't have any scruples about taking whatever he found. Thanks, Jackson Rose. Roll out, Vacant says. Okay, you got the voice, says Grace Marilyn. Yeah, thank you for subbing. Salute. Any little bit helps, trust me. He didn't have any scruples about taking whatever he found. It would help the living, and well, did he know that if he didn't take it, the first farmer that came along would relieve the body of whatever it held. He found some loose bills, but didn't bother to count them just then. They were passing a deeply wooded section of the land when he pushed the body out of the boxcar. Chester tried to clean himself up as best he could in the dark, using his handkerchief to wipe the blood from himself and the knife. After that, he stretched out on the hard floor, but sleep eluded him until the steady rumbling of the train induced him to catnap. Money, money, money. That's all he could dream about. As he reached out for it, it seemed to float away from him. He pictured himself in the whiskey store, pistol in hand, telling the white man behind the counter to back up and lean against the wall. He wasn't a boy this time. His face had a hard cast to it and hawk eyes that seemed to glow. The man hesitated, but when he cocked the hammer on his pistol, the man slowly backed up. He jumped over the counter, gun still in hand, and hit the button that made the cash drawer jump open. Pardon me, folks. Fear leaped into the drug clerk's eyes as Chester ignored the money in the slots and pulled up the container, removing the money from under it. This was the money that the clerk used to cash checks with. The opening of the outer door to the drugstore, the young couple coming in, the fear that leapt into their eyes, the opening of the outer door to the drugstore, the young couple coming in, the fear that leapt into their eyes as they realized that they had walked in on a robbery. Then the boldness of the young man. Chester searched his dream, wondering whether the young white man was trying to impress his girlfriend or if he was just some fool kind of hero. But whichever it was, the man blew the stick up. The sudden scream of indignation, the righteous anger that registered on the young man's face as he yelled and charged, then the indefensible mistake on Chester's part, the slight hesitation on his part that gave the clerk courage. Then the sharp bark of the .38 automatic that he held so tightly gripped in his hand. It had happened so suddenly. It was over so quickly. The blood flowed down the front of the kid's shirt. The terror in the girlfriend's face as she ran to him, the horror that flashed across the clerk's face as he thought that it was his turn to be shot. Chester had only a moment after that to snatch up as much money as he could. Then he broke out and ran. His car was parked around the side on a small side street. So as soon as he hit the street, he stopped his running and began to walk fast, cursing himself every step of the way because he hadn't taken time to clean out the cash register. Let me pause for the cause. Can you leave now? God, Lord. Grace Maryland 1967 says, are you also talking about the problems of today? Well, it's crazy how modern this book actually is. Gibbo Station says, I accidentally one-throated a McDonald's chicken tender today while I was driving. My throat had been pretty sore or inflamed. Sorry about that. Cheryl Sipe, hello again. Yes, we are silliness as well, so please bear. I apologize for the dumb stuff you see here, but we keep it moving though, cause we're great. That's just what it is. Hot 99.5 FM, voice having that. I get that a lot. But hey, don't hate on somebody so beautiful right now, making the most of his talents. All right, let's do this. Chapter 11. The sound of the trustees bringing the coffee wagon down the rock brought Chester awake instantly. He sat up and rubbed his eyes. Damn, he reflected. I've been lucky today. I've managed to sleep the whole fucking morning away. The arrival of the coffee wagon was a signal to the men that it was time for the afternoon meal. After coffee was passed out, the food came right behind it. Men scurried around the ward in search of containers to hold the hot, steaming liquid. Some of them used empty milk cartons left from breakfast. Others had tin cups, which they guarded as though they were 16th century China. As I say, you got it. Beautiful gift, all for the Lord. Mwah. Amen to that. Grace, Maryland, 1967. Those are words I can throw on my back into the battery, keeping me charged. A tin coffee cup with tape around the handle was an extra luxury. Something all the men who drank coffee cherished because it kept the coffee hot. The milk containers, though, had a tendency to burst. The milk containers, though, had a tendency to burst at any given minute. Also, they were too hot to handle while the coffee was hot. Chester took his cup from under the bunk and rinsed it out at the face bowl. He got in line and filled the cup from the large 10-gallon pot that had been put on their ward. There was always enough coffee to go around, but never enough time. The trustees would soon be back, escorted by guards to pick up the remaining coffee. Inner city hoodlum, Diane Whiteharden. Yes. Now, please check out Inner City Hoodlum. I got a whole omnibus that I made just a couple days ago, right there. And be so kind to leave a like, and spread the word. Okay. Roses are red, I was born with a curse, and just like my broken heart, my zipper hurts. Okay. Hayes. Pat Master, salute to you, brother. Yeah, this is one of my favorite people in the world right there, Pat Master. Salute to you. Salute to Lady Jane. Tell her I said what up. And let's go. Let me see here. Now turn this up a little bit. Chester took his cup from under the bunk and rinsed it out at the face bowl. He got in line and filled the cup from the large 10-gallon pot that had been put on their ward. There was always enough coffee to go around, but never enough time. The trustees would soon be back, escorted by guards to pick up the remaining coffee. That was the reason the men tried to get enough containers to have 2 or 3 cups of coffee. By the time the chow wagon reached their ward, their coffee would just about be cold. Though they had ways of heating it, they'd have to wait until the guards were passing out food on another rock, because the smell of something burning brought the guards running back like dogs in heat. Chester took a candy bar from his bunk. He'd been out of sugar for the past 2 days, since the wagon hadn't been on their ward, so he used candy bars to sweeten the bitter-tasting black coffee. First, he had to melt the candy down, then dip it into the coffee until it melted enough so that it wouldn't be lumpy. Chester ate by himself. He didn't want to be bothered. He'd had enough of the banal conversations. That the men kept going. Gene Deal? No, not Gene Deal. Gay Deal. Banal, right. No, not Gene. But I could remove this. And get them the hell out of here. All right. Get out of here. Banal, right? Banal, not banal. He had enough of the banal conversation. He had enough of the banal conversations that the men kept going. Later in the day, they started bringing back the men from court. Willie and Tony weren't with the first bunch. Two new men were brought to the ward. Chester Chester lay back listening to the men explain why they were in jail. One of them swore that he'd be out on bond before the day was over. It was the second time that week that he had been arrested. It seemed, from his conversation, that they just came by his house and arrested him for nothing. After searching his home for dope and not finding any, they decided to bring him downtown anyway. He swore that he'd been booked 3 times that month, yet they never found any drugs in his home because his wife always flushed the stuff down the toilet before they could kick the front door down. From his conversation, it seemed he didn't open the door fast enough to suit the police, so they always ended up by kicking his door down. "Hey, Blood," Chester called out, getting into the conversation. "Seems as if you could get your lawyer to make them leave you alone, baby boy. The kind of money you have to spend getting out of jail every week should be enough to buy somebody off. The tall young man stared at Chester coldly. He saw the skeptical way Chester looked at him. "Hey, my man," he began. "My name is Raymond Wilson, brother, and I don't make it a habit of coming to jail and trying to impress some of these scurrilous, half-senile bums you run into on these floors. Like I said, I'll be bailing out tonight, no matter what it costs. Yeah, baby, I'm a dope man too, but one thing you can't believe when I tell it to you, when they kick my door down, they ain't find a goddamn thing." Raymond hesitated for a minute, then continued. "I wasn't trying to impress, my man. I was just stating a fact. If you'd put up as many bonds this month for nothing as I have, you'd have a fucking attitude too." The man's anger, his diction, his dress, all of these things Chester became aware of at once. He had made a bad mistake, allowing his anger at his own problems to get in the way of his common sense. He should have noticed at once that this was no ordinary prisoner. Most of the time, you could tell by sight the run-of-the-mill prisoner from the rare, exceptional one that came in. "I'm sorry, Raymond," Chester apologized. If you stay in here long enough, you'll hear so many bullshit stories that it's hard to see the real from the crap. You know what I mean?" The tall, slim, brown-skinned man smiled slowly, revealing a mouthful of well-kept, evenly spaced white teeth. He walked over to Chester and pointed to a spot on his bunk. "You mind if I sit with you for a minute, brother?" he inquired in a smooth, velvet voice. "Knock yourself out, Raymond," Chester replied as he returned the man's smile. "My name is Chester Hines. Most of my friends in here call me Chester." He waited for a second and added, Now that we got that shit out of the way, how about running it down to me? I know how it is at times. I like to get it off my chest at times too." The men stared at each other. The mutual understanding instantly flashed between them. "I don't generally talk to strangers, Chester, but something about you makes me dig you, man. And I ain't funny." "I know what you mean, Ray. I think I kind of feel the same thing. It's as if we've known each other for quite a while." They grinned in unison. Then Raymond began speaking slowly. "Some motherfucking punk's been talking to the cops about me. They picked some punk up, probably on a 30-day charge. Then the sissy flipped over and gave him my address. I don't sell no drugs from my home, Chester. You know what I mean? My My family lives there, man, so I keep it clean. But it don't make no difference. Them honkies came through my home as if I'm dirt. They wouldn't dare treat my white neighbors like that, but since I'm black, it doesn't make no goddamn difference. They don't even have a search warrant. Like tonight, for instance, they come charging through my front door, don't even bother to show their fucking badges. Give my wife a goddamn cock and bull story about somebody called complaining about a disturbance at my house. A fucking disturbance, mind you. But ain't nobody at my house but me and my 3 kids and wife. What a sound, dude, Mobita Jabari says. Thank you. Cursing ain't right, bro. Yeah, but I'm reading a book. Zack Attack. Sidebar you. What? No, whatever that says. Sorry if I mispronounced it. All right. Okay. Let me see here. Raymond stopped for a moment, lit a cigarette, then continued. How about that? How about that? Nobody but me and my family listening to the LPs. My old lady had just bought a new one by Miles Davis, and we was taking it off. We smoked the last joint in the pad right before they came in. I had a little bit of jam, but I gave the coke to my wife to snort since it wasn't enough for me to really get turned on with, and she had snorted it before they came in. Zai G, your voice is amazing, man. Thank you. Race baiting, Kolsky asked. I don't know. I'm only reading. For a second, there was silence. Then Chester asked, but what did they hook you on, Ray? You know, a meatball? They'd have brought you down and held you for 72 hours, then cut you loose. But since you made the county jail, they must have found something to charge you with. They did, Ray replied, then laughed coldly. But there was no humor in it. This is what's so goddamn bitter, baby. Dig this. After tearing up the fucking house, and I mean tearing it up, fucking up the furniture, one jealous-hearted white bastard tossed his lit cigarette on top of the couch. And when my wife rushed over to put it out, the son of a bitch pushed her down. His voice became harsh as he related the incident. The bastard pushed her so hard, she fell right on her ass. Then all of the motherfuckers tried to look under her skirt since she had on a short mini. Again, he hesitated. Chester could tell that he was fighting, trying not to become too emotional as he related what had gone down at his home. Yeah, man, when she fell, all them bastards were all eyes. I got a fine black bitch, stacked the way they wished their pale-faced war. Stacked the way they wished their excuse me. I got a fine black bitch, stacked the way they wished their pale-faced whores were. Anyway, man, after that, I jumped like a fool, trying to interfere just as they wanted, and the motherfuckers got a chance to knock me on my ass. Grace Maryland, 1967, I think you seem to be the right person to philosophize about these difficult times and bad Trump. I am from the Netherlands, Europe, and life is here a little bit different, a little more tolerant. Holland, JG says, and we the people was all I had to see. Subbed. Aaron Mendoza, salute to you, brethren. And yes, Grace Maryland, 1967 says, yup. Well, you already know. Here in America, times are tough. But you know what? I'm America first. You know, I was born here, I live here, and there's too much going on where other people are benefiting more than me. So, something must get done about that immediately, if not sooner. We the people. All right. He pointed to a bump on his forehead, then continued, "Anyway, they finished searching the house. Now the only goddamn thing they could find was a hypodermic needle, that my mother-in-law leaves there. She's got sugar, so she leaves this outfit of hers so that whenever she comes to visit, if she should decide if she should decide to stay for the night, she has her outfit so that she could take her medicine in the morning. It's that simple. The bastards charged me with possessing a fucking outfit. I guess they'll try and make it look like an outfit that a junkie would use, but neither me or my wife use, so I don't see how they can make a case out of it. We ain't got no tracks, so as soon as I get out, I'll go and see a doctor and have the statement going for me." Ray shrugged his shoulders, then added, "The cops know they ain't got no case, but it's like the motherfucker told me. He said I didn't have no business living out there next door to them good old white folks. So he's making it his concern that I move my black ass away from out there if I know what's good for me." Ray shrugged his shoulders. "And what are we hearing? This is white man's justice, black man's grief. James Tate, salute to you." In the silence that followed, Chester thought about what the man had said. He could see where Ray had a problem. If he had been white, they wouldn't have dared treat him like that. But since Raymond was black, living in a damn near all-white neighborhood, they could and would do it and get away with it. "Well, Raymond," Chester said, "what are you planning on doing about it?" "The only thing I could think of at the moment is to sell out. These fucking bonds I'm putting up are beginning to get tiresome. I mean, it adds up after a while, Chester. But it's not really the money that's bothering me. I could stand 100 more of these small cases and it wouldn't hurt my bankroll. No." "Nice, brother. That's what I mean. Thank you. Grace Maryland, 1967, and James Tate, respectively. Thank you very kindly." "No, that's not the problem. What I'm worried about is how vulnerable I am. These Peckerwoods came in my house tonight, pushed my wife around, kicked me in the ass, and one of them slapped my little boy. I guess he was hoping I'd start fighting again. That way, he'd have a reason to kill me. Land of the free, home of the slave. Kinetic gamer. I'm going to have to agree with that some of the way. No, I got the message tonight. This is a little Germany for a black man. Damn it. 1 second, y'all. I guess he was hoping I'd start fighting again. That way, he'd have a reason to kill me. No, I got the message tonight. This is a little Germany for a black man. Many blacks might not know it, but I do. Hitler couldn't have been much more worse than these white detectives. Here I am, afraid to live in a $50,000 home that I've just about paid for. Oh, this industrial block. I'm waiting on the beep to go by. Big Jim Denny, salute to you. This guy's intense. Grace Maryland says, I think so. I can't make this up, boys and girls. says David. Salute, 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 everyone. Okay. I'm really, honest to God, afraid to live there. Not just for my black ass, but for my family. I mean, if they were to cold-bloodedly kill me, they might just as well kill my wife too. She's black. She's just another black animal to them. The only difference is that they love to fuck her, whereas with me, they just love to shoot the shit out of me. I guess I know now how the Jewish people used to feel in Germany. There was a deep sadness in his voice when he spoke. You know, Chester, I worked my ass off to get where I'm at. This was my dream come true. A beautiful home without rats or roaches all over the place. I grew up in the ghetto, man. I saw my baby sister, who was too young to know, eating roaches off the floor. She didn't know any difference. A 7-month-old baby, hungry, waiting on one of the older kids to come back from the store with the milk that my mother had finally gotten the money from another neighbor to buy. 50 cents, mind you. 50 fucking cents! I've seen the days in my childhood when my mother didn't have 50 cents. So the baby had to go hungry until somebody raised enough money to buy milk. But in the meantime, if she ran into a dead roach on the floor as she crawled around, it was just an 8 roach. Cetamine, baseball wrong. Man with 4 balls cannot walk. Man with 4 balls cannot walk. That's true, isn't it? Where state are you from, OG? Asked James Tate. I'm from New York, brother. I seen it on the bike that looked like mine, so I ran home to check, but he was still chained up. Wow. Yeah, you're a douche for that. What up, Unc? What's good? Salute to you, William Reveles. Or Revels. I don't mean to mispronounce your name, but thank you, William, for showing up. As Raymond related this, Chester stared at the floor. What he was saying was what Chester's family was going through now. He hadn't managed to elevate himself from the ghetto yet. It was coming, he believed, but he hadn't managed to do it yet. I know what you mean, Raymond. I know what you mean, Raymond. I know just what you mean. Shit, I've been in this motherfucker for damn near half a year because I can't raise $500. Ever thinking on joining a biker crew, an MC crew? Okay. James Tate, nah, I've never thought about that. Yeah, man, but it's all good though. You know, I do appreciate brotherhood, and that's what they're all about. I could definitely dig what they're doing. William Reveles, you got it, Uncle. All right, nephew. Cool. Thank you for sticking around, folks. I am truly appreciative of your patronage. Let me see. Raymond glanced away. He caught himself before he made the offer that came to his mind instantly. It would be sheer stupidity to offer to put up that much money for a man that he just met. To break the silence that fell between them, Chester asked quietly, "Are you really planning on giving up that beautiful home, Ray? Are you really planning on giving up that beautiful home, Ray?" Without hesitating, Raymond said, "I'm not ever going to that house again. I wouldn't take the chance of them coming in on me while I was there moving and planting some dope in my pocket. Since they haven't done it yet, I'm not about to allow them the chance to do it now. No, I got the message now. They can have the house. I'll sell it for half of what I paid for it. I'll sell it. I'll sell it for half of what I paid for it just to get rid of it. I learned my damn lesson, brother. When I saw that honky slap my kid and I couldn't do nothing about it, I damn near died. It hurt so much, Chester, that I cried, man. I really, really cried. JD, Allstate. MWA, straight out of Compton, says William Reveles. JD says Allstate. Okay. Shit. If one of them motherfuckers, if one of them motherfucking white cocksuckers slap my kid, I'll kill the motherfucker, a heavy-set black man sitting near them stated. Chester stared at the man. He was new to the ward. He had come in when Raymond did. I just bet you would, Jug, Raymond said, using the man's name. Apparently, Chester thought they knew each other or had met down in the bullpen. That was all it took for the man called Jug to invite himself over. He walked over to the bunk and sat down without asking permission. Chester glanced at the dirty pants the man wore. Say, my man, I don't think we know each other, but I don't like a lot of people to... Wait, let me say that again. Say, my man, I don't think we know each other, but I don't like a lot of people to sit on my bed. I have to sleep on it, so I make it a point not to have an open house. The man's glanced around. I don't see a lot of people, he said coolly. He said coolly, continuing to sit. Well, I'll be a motherfucker, Chester said as he rolled over and sat up. Maybe you didn't understand me, mister, so I'll try again. I sleep here, and I'm used to people asking me before they sit on my bunk. The man called Jug stared at Chester coldly. He ran his eyes over Chester, examining him closely. He outweighed Chester by at least 50 pounds. When I come to jail, man, I don't go around asking people's permission about nothing that belongs to the state. Come to think about it, brother, this bunk belongs to the state. So instead of me just sitting on it, I might just be sleeping in it before the night's over. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm sorry. Oxygen. This guy should be a voice actor for the next James Bond villain. Hanson Games laughs. Anti-Spiral. He should have voiced the Lion King Mufasa. I get that a lot too. James Earl Jones is one of, my idols. And Gino, you could go ahead and go. Remove. Get out of here with that. All right. That's what I'm saying, Grace Marilyn says. Carson Knowles, salute to you, sir. His words brought a silence to the ward. All of the inmates were watching now. They tried not to do it openly, but they were all watching. Chester examined the fat black man in front of him. No snitches. I like your voice. Salute to you. No snitches. Oxygen says, you got a hell of a voice, my G. Stay away from my wife, please. I'll be getting that a lot, too, so thanks. Let me see here. Chester examined the fat black man in front of him. The man was heavy, true enough, but you could tell that he had just started to run to fat. He had tight He had tight, kinky knots on the top of his head for hair, while his eyes looked for something he had borrowed from a pig. He had tight, kinky knots on the top of his head of hair, while his eyes looked like something he had borrowed from a pig. His lips were huge, bluish in color, and the few teeth he possessed were an off-color yellow. There was a long scar around his neck, proof that someone had tried to send him where he belonged. "Lay off, Jug," Raymond said quietly. "This is a friend of mine. If you must lean on somebody, do it to someone, do it to someone, do it to someone else other than my friend." Chester hesitated, starting to tell Raymond to stay out of the shit, but he didn't really want any trouble with the man, especially since he was due to go to court that week. He decided to see if Raymond's words carried any weight with the man. No snitches. The book is called Donald Goines, White Man's Justice, Black Man's Grief. "Borrowed from a pig? That must be a reference to the English," Oxygen says. "Just saw you and in my head started playing in the Big Show theme song." "No hate," Marcus says. I get that a lot too, but sadly, I'm not 7 feet tall. I'm not 7 feet tall. I'm only 6'5", but you know what though? Big Show is what's up though. That's one of the hardest workers ever. Okay. Jug stared. Jug stared at. Damn it. Jug stared at Chester coldly as he got up off the bed. Wait. Did you know Henry Ford wrote a book? No, didn't know, Jim Leahy. Marcus said, "Just saw you and in my head started playing the Big Show theme song." Okay, I read that one already. Oh, gosh, shit. My boy. Pardon me, folks. My apologies. Damn it. Harlem Street Tales. I see you. Hello, neighbor. Dang, bro, I'm only 5'7" and you're 6'5", bro? Yeah. Admittedly, I might have shrunk a little bit due to age. I used to be 6'5". I think I'm more like 6'3" now. It happens because, age. But yeah, let me read here. Jug stared at Chester coldly as he got up off the bed. "Okay, Ray, baby. Okay, Ray, baby. If I didn't dig your man, I'd straighten this punk out." Before Chester could reply, the man lumbered off, walking with a so-called hippie swing. Jug was a bully. He didn't mind fighting either. But he had wanted to impress Raymond more than anything else. He had heard about Raymond in the streets. He knew the young man handled a lot of money, and since he wasn't going to be in jail but a few months, he planned on trying to tighten their newly acquired friendship up. If he was lucky, if he was lucky, Raymond might give him an address where he could be reached. He believed Raymond needed a man like him. In his quick daydream, he pictured himself getting tight with Raymond, then sticking him up for some of that big money it was said Raymond had. But being honest with himself, he'd have picked someone else other than Chester to lean on if he'd been left alone. He didn't like the looks of the tall, hawk-eyed man. There was something about him, a coldness that could be felt, that signaled a deadly man. But Jug didn't fear him. He'd just have rather picked someone easier to lean on. Oh well, he told himself, the man seemed glad that Raymond had intervened, so more than likely the man was scared. Jug was used to people being afraid of him, and in Chester's silence he read fear. If the man feared him, that fight was halfway won. "Hello, Dolores." Let me see here. me see here. Tony Olivia says, have you heard of Nate Hager? He wrote a couple of good books. One of my favorite is Tales from the Sarcophagus. No, I never heard of him. Marcus says, I'm 6 foot, 180 pounds, trying to get my weight up. Hope everyone in this stream, including the creator, achieves everything they want in life. Salute to you, Marcus. That was very well said. That was very well said. Bro, everyone is bigger than me. I'm 5'7", 155. I'm small. Tony Olivia says, Nate Wrigler. He also did the I Survived books, I think. Tony Olivia says, and Marcus says, easy to build muscle, bro, at your height. Let your negative attributes become your positives. Great advice. And Nathan McCutcheon, Hatchet series are good books. All right. Now, see, you've got good ideas for other books to read in the future. Let's see here. I'm sorry about that, Raymond said quietly as Chester sat back down. You're sorry for what? Chester asked. You're sorry for what? Chester asked just as quietly. I don't remember you doing anything but saving the fool a whole lot of trouble. Raymond grinned. Yeah, I'd bet money he'd get more than he bargained for. Both men laughed. I'm doing court this week, so I don't want any trouble if I could avoid it, so thanks for what you did, Ray. The sound of the outer door opening brought the men to attention. I hope that's my bondsman, Raymond said quickly. It's more than likely the men coming back from court. My partner Willie went over to get sentenced today. My partner Willie went over to get sentenced today, Ray. I hope he came out okay. Before Ray could reply, the men were there. The inmates stood in front of the door, waiting to be let in. What is it? What is it? Willie yelled from outside the bars. He was grinning widely. God damn, baby boy, Chester yelled back. For a man who just got sentenced, you sure seem happy. I did play sports once upon a time. I did. Long time ago. Let's see here. And then I got arthritic. That's right, Chester. I know I'll be on my way to prison and out of this funky motherfucker sometime this week. What sports did I play? I played basketball and football, and for the most part, I played football. Yeah, Hatchet is a really good one. I did that one. Storytelling voice, says Christian Koppel. I play football, says No Stitches. Please be easy. You know that CTE is real business. Let me see here. Oh, come on. Wow. All this noise I got to deal with in this area. What position did you play? Running back. But after a while, it hurts. It hurts. You know, and I got sore-ass shoulders, right? You know what I mean? That it will always get out of place after a while. I play CB. Okay. You have a very nice voice to listen to, says Dude Bro. Can you let the brother read the book? Okay, says Harlem Street Tales. All good. We're going to get back at it. Where we at? That's right, Chester. I know I'll be on my way to prison and out of this funky motherfucker sometime this week. Where's Tony at? They still keeping him downstairs? Chester inquired as the turnkey opened the door and the men came in. Shit! Tony done played his way out of his shit. Shit! Tony done played his way out of this shit, Willie exclaimed as he came over and sat down on the bunk. Chester introduced him to Raymond. Then Willie continued. Tony played it to the bone, baby. They gave him 5 years probation. Willie reached into his pocket and pulled out $2. Here's part of the money he owed you. He said he'd send the rest up. Plus, you can have all that shit under his bunk. Hey, motherfucker, Willie yelled as one of the white boys that had gone to court with him began removing the stuff from under Tony's bunk. Bring all that shit right over here. That goes for the books, too. My bad, guys. And that goes for the books, too. And that goes for the books, too. As the man brought the few candy bars and books over, Chester asked, Well, what about you? It's for damn sure you didn't get probation, but it must not have been too bad, judging from the way you're grinning. That's right. The great white father didn't give me but 3 to 20. Can you dig it? 3 to 20. Shit. I'll be going before the parole board in 24 months. I'll be on the streets year after next. Yeah, but Tony's on the goddamn streets already, Chester said coldly. That shows you how fucked up the system is. If anybody should have gotten probation, it should have been you. JD asked, Are you an actor? Nah. Well, maybe I was a failed actor, you know. All right, I'm going to work. Really enjoyed your stream. Subscribe, and we'll check in later in the future, someday in the future. Love for Latvia. Salute to Latvia, Europe. Willie, a real one, says Pink Swishers. Salute to Pink Swishers and everyone here in attendance. Let's go. Willie shrugged. I care, man, but ain't no sense me crying about it. I'm happy I got the time I got. So Tony got out today. Well, he was looking for it, but I wasn't. I was looking for something like 10 to 20. If I hadn't come up right behind Tony, I doubt I would have got the play I got. As it was, since the judge had given the white boy probation for the same charge, since the judge had given the white boy probation for the same charge, he didn't want it to look too bad by loading me down, so he gave me a break. And don't forget, Chester, Tony had money behind him. I had a fucking public defender fighting my case. So I'm considering myself lucky. Can you dig it? Chester grinned. I goddamn sure can dig it, Willie. And I don't want to seem like I don't appreciate your getting such a small mental sentence. But man, I can't help wishing you could have gotten the same fucking play that Tony got. I just can't help it. I know you should have walked if he did. Love your deep voice, at Real. Salute to you and thanks for the love. Dude Bro says, I gotta go too, but I will definitely come back another stream. Have fun, y'all. Hey, don't forget to like and share and subscribe, man, because any little bit helps. Thank you for y'all kindness. And it seems them other little racist boys, they gotten the message. Well, hello, Queen Nima. Hello. Raymond glanced from one man to the next, bewildered, until Chester explained it to him. Raymond cursed. Ain't that a bitch? The honky had gunplay in his case too. He shook his head. You can't beat these woods, man, no matter how you try. If they don't get you out on the streets, they'll end up bucking you when they get you When they get you into the courtrooms, maybe now you'll understand a little better why I'm selling my house without ever stepping back into it again. I understood. I understood. That's from the bell. It's just sickening that it happens this way, that's all. The doors opened again, and the turnkey came strolling back. He stopped in front of the ward. Raymond Wilson, get your stuff. You're on your way home. Can I ask for some life advice? My girlfriend got touched by an older man, and I'm really mad, but the cops will not let me do anything about it, and I do not know what to do now. Wow. Whew. That's ill. I don't even know what to say. I really don't know what to say about that. I'm so sorry you gotta go through bullshit like that, man. Yo, no snitches, my bad. Do you believe in God? Reprise goat? Of course I do. All day, every day, and twice on Sunday. And whatever you do, guy, no snitches, please don't do anything stupid. You know, the devil stay busy I am. Here I am, says Christ on a bike. Yo, hello, sir, L4D player. Look, man, don't do anything stupid, because no snitches, it's designed for folks to just mess with us. The devil stay busy. The devil stay busy, and the devil is going to want you to do something emotional and stupid that you're going to end up behind the wall. Now, that old man, he will get what's coming to him. Trust God. Thanks for some advice, bro. Love to you. Love to you too, snitches. No snitches. All right? Can you give me the advice on beating my bad habits? I struggle with vaping and smoking weed, and every time I get close to quitting, I just relapse and start all over again and lose my progress. Well, you know what? Quit the vapes. Keep smoking weed. Okay. Raymond grinned, pulled his smokes out, and gave them to Chester. He reached in his pocket and removed $10. I hope this will help you, Chester, he said. I'll try and come down to court the morning you go. I'll try and come down to court the morning you go. He leaned over and shook Willie's hand. Take care, my man, he said, and headed for the door. Jug rushed up to him as he was leaving. If Jug hadn't gotten his way, Raymond wouldn't even have spoken. Say, Ray, baby. Say, Ray, baby. How about mashing some dough on me before you go? You know, enough to keep me in smokes. I'm sorry, Jug. I just gave my man all... I'm sorry, Jug. I just gave my man all that I could spare. Come on if you're coming, the guard yelled. Raymond continued on towards the door, oblivious to the murderous look that Jug threw his way. You sure came down on me shitty, Jug yelled at his departing back. When Raymond reached the open door and stepped through, he turned around and stared at Jug. Man, I don't know where you're coming from. I don't owe you nothing, and I ain't never promised you nothing, so what the fuck is your problem? Jug managed to control his temper. I wanted to really ask you if you'd go the $100 bill it takes to raise me, man. I'd lay it back on you. You know $100 ain't nothing. I realized that, Jug, but I might as well back with you. If it took $5 to get you out, I wouldn't put it up, man. Ray's eyes had a bleak look to them. We live in different worlds, Jug, altogether different. Jug glared angrily. You better believe we do, and hope when I get out, we don't run into each other. As Raymond started to walk away, Jug added, "That's why the police slapped your son, man. Your son is a grumpy, a punk, and just a bitch, just like his daddy." As Raymond continued to walk without looking back, Judge shouted, "It's a good thing you got out, punk, because if you hadn't, I would have put some dick in your faggot ass tonight, you punk motherfucker." His voice rang up and down the corridor. Men in the other wards laughed loudly at Raymond's expense, but it didn't make any difference. Raymond knew that he was on his way home, and no matter what an ignorant bastard said or how many people laughed, he was free again. He was free again, and if things went right, he planned to remain free. All right. Let me save project. Justice 6. All righty. Now let me read this here. Oh, Grace Marilyn says bye. Bye, Grace Marilyn. L4D player says, my personal advice is to remove yourself the option to relapse. Make it impossible for yourself to even do that. Reparize Go says, at L4D player, I try, but every time I see a vape around or see someone hitting one, it's like it automatically makes my brain lose the battle and it's set in my head and I'm going to hit it again. Hey, listen, Reparize Goat, you share the same initials I do, RG. So RG, from one RG to another RG, it's all about mental strength. I used to smoke cigarettes. I smoked cigarettes for a good 13 years before I quit. And it was hard as hell. But you know what? One day at a time. One day at a time. Just know that each day that you left that stuff alone, that you're towards a new health. Don't do anything like that, bro, okay? L4D player, it's going to be okay. Oh, come on with this. Oh, I'm getting off. I don't know how you often vape. I don't know how you use often vape. Wait, oh, God, what is this crap? I got to go to court at 5 o'clock. Okay. I don't know how often vapes are around you, but if you can remove yourself from situations or areas where vapes are, that could help. RG for life. Cigs and vapes are for beta, says Solo Lager. Salute to all the folks that took the time to come here. And I'm sorry about all this. This wasn't supposed to go down. Anyway, folks, I'm out of here. Stay sexy. It becomes you. Peace.